Student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the dagger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce have been nominated for Emmy Awards for their halftime performances at NFL games. Lamar has 4 nominations for his halftime performance at last season's Super Bowl in New Orleans. The Compton native was nominated for Outstanding Live Variety Special, Outstanding Directing for a Variety Special, Outstanding Music Directing, and Outstanding Choreography. Beyonce was also nominated for Outstanding Live Variety Special for her performance on Christmas Day during halftime of the Houston Texans-Baltimore Ravens game in Houston. Beyonce did her performance with the HBCU Texas Southern University Ocean of Soul Marching Band. The Emmy Awards show is September 14th, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS. Major League Baseball honored Hank Aaron last night during the All-Star Game in Atlanta. Aaron passed Babe Ruth in 1974 to become, at that time, baseball's all-time home run leader. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you. People all over the world, everybody, join in, start a love train, love train. People all over the world now, join in, start a love train, love train. The next stop that we
So it appears that Donald Trump and his MAGA supporters are not on the love train right about now. I raised this at the end of the first hour. Let me give you a little bit more, and now that I've had a chance to sort of dig into it myself, I'm going to read the first few paragraphs of an NBC News story. President Donald Trump on Wednesday disowned his supporters who have called for the release of files related to Jeffrey Epstein, chiding them as weaklings who bought into this BS, cleaning this up for radio. Weaklings. He is now calling his MAGA supporters weaklings who bought into this BS. BS, that is. I'm quoting once again. My past supporters, he put past, P-A-S-T in all caps. My past supporters have bought into this BS, hook, line, and sinker. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Hold up. Wait a minute. Donald Trump has turned on his supporters, calling them weaklings who bought into this BS, hook, line, and sinker. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Close quote. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said, and I quote, I'm for transparency, close quote. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide. So Mike Johnson's on the other side of this issue. Tucker Carlson is on the other side of this issue. And the list is growing of major Trump supporters who are drawing a line on, of all things, this Jeffrey Epstein issue. That's laughable in one context. But what's even more laughable is to watch this red-on-red fighting, this fighting between Trump and his team, his supporters, is getting ugly. Marjorie Taylor Greene, for her part, one of these persons that Trump just called a weakling and said he didn't want her support anymore, she posted in all caps, "Release the Epstein client list." Release the Epstein client list. And then she went on to say, today, after Donald Trump went in on his True Social platform, she said, and I quote, "My blind loyalty and faith is only," she puts only in all caps, "my blind loyalty and faith is only in God and Jesus Christ, my Savior. That is what will guide my decisions, actions, and votes." So Marjorie Taylor Greene is into it now with the President of the United States. Oh, somebody get me some popcorn. Somebody get me some popcorn. Extra butter, please. I know it's bad for my cholesterol, but, just one bucket. And a Diet Coke. I digress on that for now, but there's your breaking news at the top of this hour. We'll see what the next few minutes bring. I still got 2 more hours left on the radio. It could be a complete intifada at the White House by the time I get off the air in 2 hours. I digress on that for now. On the B side of this hour, 2 conversations in this hour. On the backside, economist, professor, and director of the Samuel DuBois Cook Center on Social Equity at Duke University, William Sandy Darity, is back on this program to give us his take on Trump's big, ugly tax bill and the impact of other Trump policies on America's growing wealth inequality index. But I am delighted to start this hour in conversation with Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. from the Cherokee Nation, who is back with an update on their slavery task force. I expect I might get a chance to ask him also about the impact of the Job Corps shutdown, which is paused, at least now, for the moment. But I am honored to, again, welcome Chief Hoskin Jr. back to this program. Chief, how are you, sir?
Tavis, I'm doing great. It's good to be back.
It's good to hear your voice. Good to have you back. I wanted to have you back primarily because when you were on last, you took some good time to explain to us what was happening inside Cherokee Nation with this slavery task force. And I'm just going to ask you I got 2 or 3 minutes here right quick. We'll continue, of course, when we come forward. But in 2 or 3 minutes, for those who may not have heard your first conversation many months ago now, some months ago on this program about why Cherokee Nation was even looking to establish a slavery task force. Just tell me what the impetus was for the task force. Number one, what was the impetus for it? And number two, what were they assigned to do? And then we'll jump from there, sir.
Sure. The impetus is to continue the healing. And just to remind us of the context, the Cherokee Nation, Cherokee people under the laws of our nation in the 19th century enslaved Black people. We had emancipation around the time the United States had emancipation. But for the next 150 years, the freedmen and their descendants, as they're known, had to fight for not only their civil rights in the Cherokee Nation, but their very identity, their very citizenship. We've changed that here in the 21st century. We're fully embracing equality, but it's not enough for me and my colleagues, Tavis, to just say equality on paper. We got to fully embrace it. So here's what we've done. We've had a task force to make sure we're examining the freedmen experience, the experience of not only the slavery era, but contemporary experience of Cherokee citizens who happen to be of freedman descent. And also now, and this gets to your question about the task force, looking back at the economic consequences and impact of slavery. We got to be eyes wide open on this. So what we're asking this task force to do is let's be honest about what Cherokee Nation gained, what we had in terms of an impact as a result of slave labor. We unquestionably built public buildings, for example, on the backs of slave labor. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what that means and what that means in terms of consequences and trauma for today, and how can we turn that into healing. So this is really about examining our history, Tavis, and I have to say it's the opposite of the direction that a lot of folks in this country are going. There's a lot of whitewashing going on in this country. There's a lot of diminishment of marginalized communities. We're doing the opposite of the Cherokee Nation, and we are stronger for it.
You are right about that. As we said in the Black Church, amen to that. Just had a conversation earlier this week about Harvard and the ways in which they are, have sort of backed up a bit on their initial commitment of $100 million. And they thought there may have been 75 slaves or 75 enslaved persons that that they owned on paper. It turns out the number is closer to 1,000. Then all of a sudden, the direction they were going in, they sort of pivoted. They keep making the argument that the program hasn't ended, but it certainly got outsourced, and it's gotten real quiet at Harvard. Once that number rose into the hundreds, as I said, like around 1,000 people, much greater number than they initially thought. And so there are people who are, handling this a bit different than Cherokee Nation is. So that's the impetus. That's the backstory for why the chief established this slavery task force, and you understand now what the mission of that task force is. When we come forward, I want to ask him how the work is coming along with regard to this task force, and a few more questions. You're listening, and I'm pleased to have him on, to Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. from the Cherokee Nation on Tavis, Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard. Not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing, and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there is nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. Say that fast 3 times. Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. from the Cherokee Nation. We invited him back on this program to give us an update on how this slavery task force is coming along. You heard him moments ago acknowledge that the Cherokee Nation, like everybody else it seems, enslaved black people. And unlike a lot of other people, they are trying to come transparently to terms with that reality and what that means for Cherokee Nation in 2025. And so we celebrate the fact that they have a task force that's taking this issue head on. So what at this point, Chief, can you tell me anything at all about the work of the task force, how it's coming along?
Sure. Two things. One is this comes on the heels of some really important earlier work. So one thing we did is we developed our own historic exhibit exploring the history of our slavery, the history of emancipation, and the freedmen experience. And we had freedmen descendants lead that development. And so it's been a powerful exhibit in a number of museums. We secondly looked at are freedmen descendants accessing programs and services? Are they being excluded inadvertently or just by virtue of decades and decades, generations of exclusion? So we're trying to make some remedial work there. This new task force, it's still early, Tavis, but here's what we know. There were about 1,000 slaves that were carried on the Trail of Tears. I say carried metaphorically. They walked on the Trail of Tears, our forced removal, but I say carried because they were treated and recorded as property because they were slaves. And then when we rebuilt in our new homeland, in what's now North Oklahoma, they did a lot of the building. I think what we're going to find, Tavis, is that substantially all of the 19th century buildings prior to 1863 in what is now Northeast Oklahoma were built on the backs of slaves, their labor. And I think we're going to go back to our old homeland. And just by historical reference, we were in the southeastern part of the United States, places like Georgia before our removal. There's going to be some historic sites in which slaves owned by Cherokees under our laws built those. I think we're going to find that it's a lot. Then the question that we're going to say is, what do we do with that? Well, number one, knowledge is power and the truth will set us free. And that's true. But we also, I think, have to deal with reconciling that economically. And I don't have an easy answer, but I know we can't get to an answer unless we know the facts. I think the facts are going to be jarring, at least they should be.
Yeah. You just mentioned a moment ago the removal of Cherokee Nation. You said before we were removed. This question always, we may have discussed this when you were on last, but for those, again, who didn't hear that conversation, I don't want them to think that this question is not on my mind now as it was then. I think you probably know where I'm going. How is it? Again, I love the transparency. I love you coming on this program. I love the updates every so many months on how this task force is coming along. This slavery task force, but how do you explain to people that a people that had been so maltreated themselves would then turn around and enslave other people?
It's difficult, and it strikes people as counterintuitive when they first hear it, but it's the truth. And I think part of the explanation is the Cherokee Nation was trying to keep a foothold on its very existence in the 19th century. And part of that was to economically be in line with the Southern agrarian economy. That's not an excuse. That's not a good reason to enslave human beings, but the enslavement came in the context of how the economy of the American South was growing. But it was a decision made by Cherokee leaders. It was the wrong decision, but it was a decision that was in line with the economy and the social norms of the time. I don't know that Cherokee leaders were necessarily struggling with that issue at the time, thinking we're subjugated and so we should not subjugate. I wish they would have. And I think we all can look back in history and find flaws in our past leadership, and that was a flaw. And so I think part of what we're doing today to get to the facts, to explore the experience of slaves and freedmen and how that impacts us today, I think that'll help us better understand what was going on in the minds of Cherokee leaders at that time and how we can have a better future. But there's no easy answer, but it's the question that ought to be asked. And I think it's the question that ought to really tug at the mind and the heart of every citizen of our great Cherokee Nation.
Is this this backstory of Cherokee Nation owning enslaved people or enslaving people, is this common knowledge within Cherokee Nation? And when I say common knowledge, I mean, is this something that is talked about or taught or commonly discussed? Give me a sense of, I want to understand the frame inside Cherokee Nation with regard to this issue.
It is now. When I was growing up, it was not. At least it wasn't something that was a common knowledge to me. And I grew up within the Cherokee Nation. And I think it's in part for the same reason that a lot of dark chapters in American history are suppressed. We suppress that history too. We were in denial in many ways. And so you have generations of people not growing up, knowing it, not understanding it, questioning whether it happened. I mean, that's really been part of what we've struggled with. I think now in 2025, Tavis, and I credit in part our efforts to create a museum exhibit, to raise this issue. People like myself going to the Congress of the United States, admitting that we enslaved people, apologizing for it, having freedmen descendants in my cabinet. My Secretary of State is a freedman descendant. I have a number of other Cherokee citizens who happen to be of freedman descent in our government in high places. That all, I think, injects into the discourse within the Cherokee Nation that slavery existed, that we did it, that we got to reconcile and we got to heal. And so now it's different. And that's good because young Cherokees growing up today, Tavis, this is progress, are not like me, not in the dark about it. We've shed light on it.
The mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, was a guest on this program not long ago. Matter of fact, he was in town. He was, I guess he was a guest a couple of months ago. And he and I've never actually met. I'm putting our business out there. He was in town just a few weeks ago, he was in town bringing his son to a baseball game. Turns out the mayor of Tulsa has a son, and every year they go to, in the summer, he takes his son to 2 or 3 major league ballparks. And so this year, the trip was out west to go to the Padres ballpark in San Diego, the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine, and the Angels out in Anaheim. So he came to L.A. and called me and said, I'm in town. I would love to meet you. I said, absolutely, Mayor. So he came by the building here, and I finally got a chance to actually meet the mayor, the black mayor of Tulsa, in person. I raised that only because I read in preparation for this conversation, the Cherokee Nation hosted a Black History Month celebration in Tulsa this year, back in February. Is that correct?
That's correct. And by the way, Mayor Nichols is a dear friend, and he's a bright spot in the state of Oklahoma. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But we had a great Black History Month celebration in Tulsa at a place that people may be familiar with, the Greenwood Cultural Center. Sits in Greenwood, the site of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And so we, use that opportunity to have another conversation about the history of slavery, emancipation, what we're doing today. We made some great announcements. One of the announcements was that we're building a community building in North Tulsa, which is within the Cherokee Nation. So we're talking about investment that we're making. We're talking about some housing programs. And so he's a great mayor. He's a great man. And working in that particular part of the country, which was the site of one of the worst race massacres in American history, is important to me because that's part of Cherokee Nation.
Yeah, I don't mean to make you political here, so take this question as you will, and I won't be offended, Chief, any way you choose to respond to it. But we talk so much on this program and in other spaces about the impact that this administration is having on people all across the country, be it poor people, black people, brown people with these ICE raids. This bill that Donald Trump signed into law. We're talking about that on the backside of this hour when I lose you in about 5 minutes. We're talking about the impact on wealth inequality of many of these policies and proposals. Seniors who are going to be kicked off of Medicaid. So there are all kinds of Americans, all kinds of fellow citizens who are being impacted by this administration. Then again, Americans are always impacted by every administration. I raise that just to ask very directly how Cherokee Nation is faring right about now.
Well, we're going through some difficulties as are many levels of government in the country. So right now, there's about $30 million that we've lost in federal funds in the form of grants that come directly to the Cherokee Nation. Another $30 million is in limbo. We anticipate being cut. And then we face things like Job Corps, which you mentioned at the top of the discussion, which is a program that we operate as a contractor, as contractors do all over the country. But for an injunction, that would be shut down, and 117 young people would be, scattering to the four winds, hoping that they had a place to go home to, and some of them don't. And then there's a budget proposal that zeroes out Job Corps. There's a budget proposal that zeroes out a program that if you are not poor and you can pay your electric bill, you don't have a problem. But if you're a poor Cherokee elder, you need that federal LIHEAP program. And just it's breathtaking to think that that's been proposed to be zeroed out. I'm just scratching the surface on concerns that I have, and they're real, and I have to say them. And I know, look, when I talk to our citizens, I don't speak in partisan terms. I speak in terms of programs and investments, of whether we're going to have opportunities for young Cherokees who live in economically marginal parts of the Cherokee Nation to get job training, get a scholarship, get a job. I mean, those things are real to people, and those things are at risk because of a number of policies that have been handed down. So I'm greatly concerned. We are feeling the effect. We're a big enough tribe with a diverse revenue source that we can weather things perhaps better than other tribes, but we're not impermeable to what is, I think, one of the largest transfers of resources in this country away from programs that help marginalized communities towards things that don't affect my citizens.
What are your hopes? I hear you suggest a moment ago that you think this Job Corps thing is going to be lined item out. You really believe that?
Well, I think the court may say that the administration should not have unilaterally shut it down, but let's remember there's a proposal that the Congress could enact that says Job Corps is gone. Now, do I think the Congress will do that? I don't, but I am concerned that it's a risk, and I'm concerned about the young people who may be at risk, not whether the court case succeeds, but whether the Congress follows the Trump administration request that they eliminate Job Corps. We got to remember there's two tracks here, judicial and in the Congress. So I'm greatly concerned. And here's what my strategy as chief of the Cherokee Nation. I'm not a partisan, but I do try to talk about results and efficiency. And I always invite federal leaders to come to the Cherokee Nation and look at how we're spending dollars that protect victims of violence within our reservation. And look, missing and murdered Indigenous people, that's a real issue. I invite them to come down and look at what we're doing for food security, for kids that might not have a meal if we're not there for them, elders that might not have a nutritious lunch if we're not there for them. I invite them to some wellness centers that we're building at no cost to our citizens because we've all got a stake in wellness. I try to show them return on the dollar, Tavis, return on the investment. I think it's some of the best dollars this country can spend, but I got to get them here to show them, and I'm working on getting as many of them here as I can. And I'm an optimist, though. I'm an optimist that if I can get them here, show them the good news about what we're doing, that we can at least find some safe harbor in what seems to be a stormy time in this country.
Before I pivot to this next conversation with William Sandy Darity about brilliant economist, about growing wealth inequality in this country, in the 60 seconds I have left, what's employment or unemployment looking like these days inside Cherokee Nation?
Well, unemployment, if you look at top line numbers, is pretty good in the state of Oklahoma and therefore the Cherokee Nation. But what I'm as concerned about are pockets of poverty that don't show up on the statistics because we've got people that are out of the workforce, and they may be out of the workforce because they're gripped by a lot of consequences of poverty. It could be drug addiction. It could be a feeling of not being safe or living in communities that don't feel safe, where housing is inadequate. And as a government, I think we've got a responsibility to do something about it. So I could look at top line numbers and sleep easy at night, Tavis, but I'm looking at communities. I'm in a community right now, community of Greasy, and that community has a lot of unemployment, a lot of people out of the workforce, and a lot of people who maybe don't feel safe and don't feel optimistic about the future. And a lot of those are young people. So we got to do some more in terms of being proactive to create opportunity and not be content on that top line number that might make us complacent. I think there's work to be done.
I try to talk to a little bit of everybody on this program. That is my way. It's been my way for the balance of my career. To bring you conversations that you might not hear otherwise. And so I am always honored to be in conversation with our friend and brother, Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr., who is the chief of the Cherokee Nation. And I keep checking with him periodically because I'm curious and want to be informed as to how this slavery task force is coming along. And so he pops in here every now and then to give us an update on that task force and just on things generally with regard to the Cherokee Nation. And I'm always honored to have him on this program. Chief, enjoy the rest of your day, my friend. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Avery Wood with BIN News Now. 9 people were hurt in a stampede at Atlanta's Vine City MARTA station after a Beyonce concert. Witnesses say someone screamed, causing panic as an escalator sped up and stopped suddenly. Devon Ramsey says he was on the platform.
There were a lot of people that needed assistance after that.
The incident is under investigation. Democrats in Hampton, Connecticut have endorsed Legislative Council President Dominique Baez for mayor. Baez won 39 of 63 delegate votes. At least 5 other Democrats, including Jamika Jeffries, will challenge her in the September primary. And a black former city clerk in Haines City, Florida, has won a $550,000 settlement after claiming she was told to stop wearing Aunt Jemima braids. Erica Anderson says she faced racist remarks and retaliation from the mayor, was falsely accused of misconduct, and fired after filing a whistleblower complaint. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the Tiger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce have been nominated for Emmy Awards for their halftime performances at NFL games. Lamar has 4 nominations for his halftime performance at last season's Super Bowl in New Orleans. The Compton native was nominated for Outstanding Live Variety Special, Outstanding Directing for a Variety Special, Outstanding Music Directing, and Outstanding Choreography. Beyonce was also nominated for Outstanding Live Variety Special for her performance on Christmas Day during halftime of the Houston Texans-Baltimore Ravens game in Houston. Beyonce did her performance with the HBCU Texas Southern University Ocean of Soul Marching Band. The Emmy Awards show is September 14th, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS. Major League Baseball honored Hank Aaron last night during the All-Star game in Atlanta. Aaron passed Babe Ruth in 1974 to become, at that time, baseball's all-time home run leader. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and professor and director of the Samuel DuBois Cook Center on Social Equity at Duke University, William Sandy Darity, who is back on this program, allowing us to tap into his brilliant economic insights as a noted economist, talking about the impact of this big ugly tax bill and other Trump policies on the growing wealth inequality in this country. Sandy Darity, good to have you back, sir. How are you, Professor?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me again.
It is my pleasure to have you on. Good to hear your voice. Let me just jump right in and make the most of the time that we have, the limited time that we have. My read of this is that this Trump budget, this bill, is going to expand the racial wealth gap. I guess the question is how much? Massively or marginally?
I think it will have a devastating effect on health and well-being across the entire population. It will have adverse income effects with respect to Black and white Americans' relative position. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily think it will have much of an impact directly on wealth inequality. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm a little bit curious as to what you think the connection might be.
I'm not sure. My sense is that African Americans are going to lose ground economically. You know this better than I do. You're the expert here. That black people still lag far behind white people in every single leading economic indicator category. I've not seen any economic category which we still do not lag far behind. But if you consider, for example, that so many black people are going to be displaced from their government jobs, their federal government jobs, and that was always a source for black people to get into the middle class, these good government jobs, as we call them. That's going to have an impact. And beyond that, some of these other policies, pushing back on Medicaid, the SNAP program for children, pushing back on college scholarships, the attacks on DE&I, all of that. I don't have time to even enumerate right now. All of that seems to suggest to me that black people are going to fall farther and farther behind, not just in real time, but ultimately that might impact the racial wealth gap. But again, you're the expert, not me. But to answer your question, that's how I see it.
So I think there's some validity there, but I think it's based upon the assumption that the way in which people build wealth is primarily out of savings from their income. Mm-hmm. And so what we're talking about is a situation where black people's incomes are going to take a major hit.
Right.
So some people might anticipate that would correspond to a fall in their capacity to save and to build wealth. The difficulty here is that I think that's not an entirely accurate picture of how wealth is generated. Mm-hmm. I think the primary way in which people acquire wealth is through the transmission of resources from previous generations to them. Mm-hmm. That is, the transmission of resources from parents and grandparents to the younger adult generation. And the reason why we have an enormous wealth disparity in the United States between Black and white Americans is primarily because white Americans have had a much greater capacity to give their children and grandchildren substantial economic resources, while Black folks, regardless of whether they're middle class or lower class or low income or in poverty have not had a similar capability to transfer resources across generations. And so I don't think that the current bill will have much of an effect on the intergenerational transfer process for wealth. And that's why I don't know that it will have a very, very dramatic effect on wealth, but it certainly will have a drastic adverse effect on people's health and well-being.
I want to come back to health and well-being in a second. I heard you say that twice, and I'm not missing it. I've got it. I've got a circle around it on my desk here. We'll get back to that. I hear your strong argument about inheritance, and obviously one would not argue with Sandy Darity anyway. He's a brilliant scholar and economist, so I wouldn't argue anyway. But
let me add though that it's not just inheritances.
Right.
Probably the more important component of what people transfer across generations is what we economists call, in jargon fashion, in vivo transfers.
Okay.
And these are transfers of resources that take place while the donor is still living. Many of us don't even think of these as transfers from parents to children, but they could include parents having the capacity to fund your college education, so you finish college without any student loan debt. They could include parents providing you with a car when you complete high school graduation, or they could include parents providing a young couple with a down payment for their mortgage. There's a variety of ways in which transfers can take place while people are living that can have a tremendous impact on the ability of the next generation to maintain and build wealth. And so I don't want to limit this to inheritances. Sure. I'm talking about something more. And then there's one additional factor, which is young people from wealthier families do not necessarily experience psychological or emotional anxiety about their family's financial needs. And that's a tremendous relief and advantage.
Yep. I was too myopic and too narrow in my definition of inheritance, and you leave it to Sandy Darity to correct me and expand that definition, and I received that. What I was pushing toward was that transfer of resources while the parents are living or deceased is as real as rain. And black people don't have that. We don't have that. We're not in that. That's not the frame that we're in, to your point. One of the other ways, though, that wealth is created, certainly inside black America, is home ownership. Here again, the way I'm reading the tea leaves is that Donald Trump's administration is not going to make it any easier, not that it ever was, for black people to have the resources to buy homes. And again, if you continue to turn a blind eye to diversity, equity, and inclusion in any program, anywhere, that is designed to give poor people or people of color an opportunity to advance themselves, then I don't have any reason to believe that the home ownership numbers are going to go up for black people over the next few years. And there again is another ding on this racial wealth gap, as I see it.
Yeah, that's correct. I think that we may have a tendency to overemphasize home ownership as a critical asset. But I think that's primarily because folks who are in the middle of the nation's income distribution, their primary source of wealth typically is equity in a home. But there's a wide array of other categories of assets where black people historically have also been denied the opportunity to acquire. And if we look at the upper 25% of the income and the wealth distribution, we find that these other assets are far more prominent than home ownership. And here I would include non-residential real estate. I would include business ownership. I would include ownership of financial assets, which is a critical component of the wealth disparity between blacks and whites in the United States. And then I would also include retirement accounts, which are connected to the financial markets.
So you heard Professor William Sandy Darity suggest moments ago that he doesn't believe that Trump's policies will necessarily have a significant impact on wealth inequality in this country, but he is absolutely concerned about the draconian impact of these policies on the health and well-being of everyday people, certainly poor people and black and brown people. So I want to give him a chance to unpack that concern when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ROYAL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ROYAL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ROYAL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the brilliant economist William Sandy Darity, professor and director of the Samuel DuBois Cook Center on Social Equity at Duke University. And we've been talking about this big ugly tax bill and whether Trump's policies are going to impact the growing wealth inequality in this country. His argument of moments ago was when I asked him whether the impact would be massive or marginal, he basically chose marginal at best. What he's more concerned about is the impact these policies are going to have on what he terms the health and well-being of everyday people, to quote Sly Stone. So that said, Professor Darity, unpack that notion for me.
Well, I have a colleague, Anirudh Krishna, who did a major study comparing entry and exit from poverty across multiple communities globally. And his central conclusion was, and the title of his book reflects that conclusion, the title of the book was called One Illness Away, is that the primary thing that tends to drive families into poverty is a major medical emergency, so expensive that it actually destroys their financial position, precarious as it might be. And I think that one of the most disturbing aspects of the new the new budget is the collapse in expenditure for Medicaid, which is a critical cushion to prevent families from moving into disastrous situations as a consequence of health expenses. So that's just one illustration of the kinds of devastating effects that I think are going to emerge from this legislation.
I don't mean to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mean to be hyperbolic about this. I've said it before, but I come back to it again, given what you've just said now, Professor Darity. And again, no naivete here, but it troubles me that we watch politicians, in this case Donald Trump and all the Republicans who've empowered him to do this, we watch politicians far too regularly advance pieces of legislation, advance bad public policy that really does lead to the death, literally the death, of fellow citizens. And yet the conversation about those policies is still held in the realm of what is politically feasible or not, what you can get passed or not. But those aren't really political conversations. These are conversations about life and death. And I wonder why you think it is, again, no naivete here, that these conversations aren't ever cast in those stark but real as rain terms.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that part of the problem may be that under the two-party system that we have in the United States, the party on the outs is not aggressive enough in responding to the party that is in power, particularly when the party in power is a party that is led by an authoritarian figure like Donald Trump. Another example of what you just described, which is public policy that leads to death, is the evidence that the DOGE cuts that were made with the federal emergency services perhaps contributed significantly to the high mortality that we experienced with the flooding in Texas. That people were not given sufficient warning time, that they were not given mechanisms for evacuation, and this may well be due to the fact that our federal emergency services were slashed as a consequence of Elon Musk's DOGE activities.
That's a perfect example, and I'm glad you raised it. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Professor Darity, he is no prognosticator, has no crystal ball, but he is a brilliant economist. And I'm going to put him on the spot and ask him to just offer his best advice, whatever that is, his best advice for poor people, certainly for African Americans, for how we survive economically these policies over the next few years. You think about the Reagan era, and as horrible as it was, we did get through it. And so I'm just curious, as a brilliant economist, what his advice is to all the rest of us for how best to survive this when we know that these cutting of federal jobs, as we said earlier in this conversation, are absolutely going to hurt the economic status of many African Americans. So how do we survive? That's the question when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah.
The
California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and William Sandy, Darity, professor and director of the Samuel DuBois Cook Center on Social Equity at Duke University. Here's my extra question, I think. I got 2 minutes to go, and I'll yield it all to you, Professor Darity. What's your best advice to those of us who remember the Reagan years and now see the Trump era on steroids? How do we survive? How do we navigate?
I'd like to use the cliched distinction between survive and thrive.
Sure.
Historically, somehow, Black folks have always managed to survive in this society. A lot of us have died prematurely, but somehow we have continued in this society. And usually it's a consequence of our capacity to try to support one another. But survival is not the equivalent of thriving. Mm-hmm. And I think for the purposes of thriving as a community, we need to be engaged in the process of building the social movement that will put us back on a footing for considering ways in which we can truly change this society. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
No, it happens. It's live radio. Let me. I lied. I lied.
And I've talked to you in the past about some of the policies that we really need to embrace in America, which have been shelved in the present moment, and these include policies like a federal job guarantee, a guarantee of medical and health care for all Americans. Mm-hmm. This would include a rejuvenation of the conversation about reparations for Black Americans, as well as ways in which we could guarantee housing and eliminate homelessness altogether in this country. Yep. So we need a social movement that reverses the tendencies that we're faced with right now.
I'm out of time now. When you're next on this program, though, I wanted to ask this question, and we could spend a half hour just talking about this. So make a note on your calendar. I'll write it down and give it to my team. They're listening right now. When you're back on next time, I want to just have a conversation about social equity. Again, he's director of the Samuel DuBois Cook Center on Social Equity at Duke University. And my question for our next conversation is whether social equity is actual in this moment or aspirational. Is social equity actual? Does it really exist, or is it aspirational? That's our next conversation, Professor Darity. Make sense to you?
Makes sense to me.
We'll talk about it. Thank you for your time, sir. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. NIMT is under investigation. Democrats in Hampton, Connecticut have endorsed Legislative Council